What is up, duelists? Arts and Crafts here again with your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT format action. Today's feature match, we got Nash Mash versus Thalas77. I think one or both of these players have been featured on this channel before, so good to see them back and still grinding away on the Dueling Book ranked ladder. As always, both these players are rated in the top 200 spots on the Dueling Book ladder at the time this match was played. Let's get into it. Thalas won the rock, paper, scissors. Just going to start out with a solid T-set pass, the classic GOAT format opening. Nash Mash. Going to go normal summon Breaker the Magical Warrior. Let's see if Thalas played around this. You know, Breaker is generally something you got to be aware of, especially with your turn 1 sets. Breaker effect will get activated. It is Book of Moon, so a temporary out to Breaker if you have a monster with over 1,000 attack points to deal with it. And this set monster will make it to the end phase unscathed. Nash Mash is going to add a back row and pass. Thalas is going to go ahead, flip summon, set Magician of Faith, grab that Book of Moon. All right, not the most powerful grab with the Faith, and still hasn't shown a way to deal with the Breaker, at least permanently. See, Book of Moon can just kind of delay it for another turn, though, just like we just saw. We're just going to get set a monster, set a couple pass, so Breaker is going to be able to live for now. Nash Mash, ooh, pro set Heavy Storm right out of the gate. Pretty tricky play. One of these sets is probably Book of Moon, which can set the Faith face down. And then Heavy does hit Mirror Force, so good card to hit here if you're Nash Mash. And now the back row is empty for you to make some moves, potentially deal with these threats that Thalas has here. Breaker will get flip summoned. Oh, interesting. We're going to go set a back row, activate Swords of Revealing Light, forcing the flip of Magician of Faith, grabbing that Book of Moon, and then we'll see what the other face down was. It was Gravekeeper Spy, so that's going to activate as well. Grab another copy of itself. Summon it to the field. We're going to get normal summon Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, which these spies doing what they do, walling everything out here. Breaker will go beat over Magician of Faith, and we're just going to pass with the spies doing their job. So it looks like we might have... I know when Nash Mash was on this channel previously, they were playing an interesting, like, Marauding Captain-based warrior deck, which this definitely could still be. I remember they were main decking Swords of Revealing Light as well. Thalas here potentially just on some standard Chaos Turbo stuff. And Spies, pretty much the key card in the Warrior versus Turbo matchup for Turbo. Just being able to wall out warriors pretty much indefinitely, unless they've got like a Zumbira or something to deal with them. Thalas, though, gonna lead out with a Graceful Charity here, and they have the Sinister Serpent to discard for max value, and they can just discard that Book of Moon that they got off of the Faith. So yeah, Faith not getting a ton of value here, basically just recurring Book of Moon a bunch, but using it as discard fodder for the Graceful isn't the worst thing in the world. Just going to set a couple back row pass, spies walling out as they're supposed to do. We're going to get end phase Dust Tornado here from Nash Mash. We'll see what the 50-50 hits. It's a Torrential Tribute. Okay. Probably not something you care too much about, considering you would actually really like it if Thalas blew up their own spies, but good to know that a couple of the power traps are done and dealt with now. And that's turn 1 of Swords of Revealing Light done. I've said this in the past. Not really entirely sure what the point of swords is when you're playing a warrior deck. Unless you're just like super pre-sided for aggro matchups, which maybe is a thing on the Dueling Book ladder, but I feel like mostly you're just going to be running into Chaos Turbo, where swords doesn't really do too much. Nash Mash, though, we've got DD Warrior Lady. That is not super efficient way to deal with a Gravekeeper Spy, but it is a way to deal with a Gravekeeper Spy, and you don't have to worry about Torrential or Mirror Force, so you can afford to go wide like this. Just going to pass, though, not going to go for the trade. Just going to slowly build up the forces. Look to maybe OTK if they can find like a Tribe Infecting Virus or something to deal with these spies. Although Tribe actually would not be very good here because it would blow up half of your board as well. Thalas going to recur that Sinister Serpent, another really good card in the matchup. Second turn of Swords done. Pass there for Nash Mash. Yeah, you know, if you're going to go, I don't know. I feel like you'd rather the Swords have been like a Ceasefire or something. Not that even like Ceasefire I think is that good of a card. But if you're just going to use it to scout out your opponent's set monsters, you might as well negate their flip effects too, right? And get in for some damage. Thalos is just going to draw a pass. Swords runs out. Not sure how much of a difference that makes here. But Thalos happy to stall this game out here as the control deck in the matchup. Nash Mash just has to set a back row pass. Thalos here, 7 cards in hand, is going to have to commit something to the board unless they want to discard for hand size, which they do have Sinister Serpent in hand, so it's actually not the end of the world if they just want to sit back here. They're just going to lead out with Heavy Storm, potentially 2 for winning themselves. Nash Mash, do you have a chain? No chain, so we're going to chain Ring of Destruction on the Breaker. Interesting choice. Not chaining on the Kaiku is a little bit odd to me, but maybe we have Snatch Steal. Snatch Steal to grab the Kaiku could be pretty good. Oh, we've got Book of Moon to flip the Breaker face down, causing Ring of Destruction to get fizzled. Interesting. So Thalos going for potentially a cute play here. Book of Moon getting chained. So it's just going to be a straight kind of 2 for 1 here. Breaker is now vulnerable to even like an attack mode Spy beating over it, but you probably don't want to do that if you're Thalos, because then you'll get swung on in return by one of Nash Mash's monsters. So Thalos, your play here was a little bit stymied, but the back row is clear for you to do something now, and that was probably the main reason why you were heavy storming. So let's see if you can gain some significant advantage here. So we did have Snatch Shield coming through on the Kaiku as expected. I think that was the card that made Ring on the Breaker make the most sense. And Nash Mash, perhaps you could have read that and saved Book of Moon for the Kaiku. Because, yeah, I'm not going to go through all the permutations, but I feel like a Ring on the Breaker there only makes sense. Or at least the card that jumped out to me was Snatch Steal. That makes that place make sense. And so Thalos being able to bait out Book of Moon. Well, I guess heavy you couldn't have. I guess you would have had to get a little bit cute, right? Because the Heavy Storm was activated, so you had to activate Book of Moon right there. Do you just go ahead and book your Kaiku expecting the Snatch Steal and let your Breaker get ringed? I mean, Ring on Breaker is like kind of fine, right? Interesting decision point. Maybe you're hoping for. Maybe I just got lucky that the Snatch Steal was the card that was coming through. And you're just like banking on too much stuff to go your way in order to book the Kaiku there. But in this case, Snatch Steal resolves on Kaiku, which I think was Thalos' plan. And we're going to get really aggro here. Both spies in attack position. One spy will beat over the Breaker. Kaiku will get over the DD Warrior Lady, which will banish everything. Put Nash Mash off of Chaos. And then the last spy will get in for 1200. So Thalos saw enough, was able to pretty much stabilize and go aggro all in one turn. Turbo kind of achieving what it wants to do. They're just going to set a back row pass. Nash Mash here, we've got Normal Summon DD Assailant. Pretty good card. Good in this scenario as well to beat over these spies. It's going to go in and get over one, hit for 500. The other spy can wall it out pretty much indefinitely, but at least you're getting a little bit of damage and pressure here. It's going to set a couple back row pass. Thalos, we got Normal Summon Tribe Infecting Virus, asking if they have a Solemn, potentially thinking about using Prio on Warrior to kill. We know the Serpent is in hand too to get the free plus on the DD Assailant. So that's what we see. And then playing around Mirror Force by changing Spy to defense position. Makes sense anyway, because Spy's a lot better there. And Tribe can get in for 16. So Thalos safely continuing to apply pressure, but not overextending. Very smart, I would say. Nash Mash draws for turn. We got Delinquent Duo that was set last turn. Yeah, that makes sense, because you knew Serpent was in hand. So now is a good time to use it to make sure that you're getting close to full value. Nice play there. Generally not, if you know your opponent has Serpent in hand, generally it's advisable just save the Duo, because otherwise it's just like a 1-for-1. You hit a Dekoichi there, which isn't too bad, and they're going to discard Nobleman of Crossout, which is a dead card in the matchup. But you are reducing Thalos' options. Knock can still, of course, be live against Warrior if they're playing some Warrior decks. Well, even main deck stuff like Earthkeeper Spy and Magician of Faith, just because they're really good. And Turbo generally also plays like Tsukuyomi, right? And we know they play Book of Moon, so no flip face down into knock combos available for now. We got Call of the Haunted here from Nash Match to go and revive this DD Assailant. That is a good way to beat over the Tribe Infecting Virus. And we're going to see that happen. Just dealing 100, but continuing to apply the pressure. And the Spy is still walling out forever and ever, which is what it's meant to do. But Nash Mash has done a good job at least kind of making a game of it. They were down a good number of cards for a while, but just being able to get value through stuff like Duo and beating over the opponent's monsters, as these aggro decks like to do. Just going to set a back row pass as well. Talos here is still sitting pretty behind the Spy. Got Upstart to dig a little bit further into the deck. Ooh, and we're going to slam down Chaos Sorcerer. Had that Faith in the Grave from the beginning as the light source. But we're going to Solemn the Sorcerer. Okay. Keep that DD Assailant on the board. Fair enough. Life point total doesn't really matter too much when you're the aggro deck. That's why Solemn is generally better in beatdown or beatdown adjacent decks. Thalos, though, just has a set monster to add to the board and another back row. So all the cards on the table for both players. Nash Mash just going to go attack that set monster. It was the Sinister. I guess it was known Sinister. So totally fair. Just keeping it off the board. It's going to pass, still unable to deal with the second Spy. Talos here, we got Jargri to dig a little bit further into the deck. Set probably the Serpent, set a back row pass. Nash Mash, we got normal summon Blade Knight. It is at that full 2,000 attack point value, which is nice. It's going to go and attack the set monster, which was Magician of Faith. So there's some good stuff to recur here. You got Sinister in hand, so Graceful is pretty good. Heavy Storm's also quite good here. It would blow up the DD Assailant. Snatch Steal, quite good in the matchup as well. Just going to go grab that Graceful, though. Makes sense. Best card in the deck. And they'll pass. So we know that Graceful is going to go land here. Do you have another Solemn here if you're Nash Mash? Nope. We're going to discard Serpent and a Dead Delinquent Duo. So pretty high value Graceful Charity there. And they drew into Thunder Dragon. Pretty late here, but going to continue to thin the deck. Get some cards in hand. They're going to set a monster pass. And now we know it's not Sinister Serpent. Nash Mash here. We got normal summon Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke. So finally finding an out for these Gravekeeper Spies. You don't have to worry about Mirror Force or Torrential once more, so this is totally fine. Ninja Grandmaster will go beat over the Spy. Ooh, but we've got Book of Moon here. Do you target the Spy or do you target the Ninja Grandmaster? Going to target the Ninja Grandmaster. Blade Knight will attack the set. It is another Magician of Faith, so Faith number 3. So looks like Thalos is just playing the World Championship winning deck here with no Knight Assailant, triple Magician of Faith, and double Book of Moon, which is an interesting choice for the Dueling Book ladder. It is pretty heavily tuned for the expected metagame at the World Championship, which is very different than what you would expect on the GOAT format ladder. But Thalos here, of course, up here in the upper echelons of the Dueling Book ladder, so it seems to be serving them pretty well. And Faith is just going to, I think, just grab that Graceful back. You have the Sinister to recur as well. It's continuing to, apply the pressure from the card advantage perspective here. But we got Trap Dust Shoot here, though, which can send that Serpent back, or maybe something better. We'll see what they're rocking with. We know about Graceful, we know about Double TD, and the unknown card was Pot. So I think you definitely send back the Sinister Serpent here. With the Trap Dust Shoot, still going to be a really high value Graceful Charity, though, being able to cash in those Thunder Dragons. But yeah, sending back Serp makes sense. And now the rest of the hand is going to get pretty much reworked completely. Pot will trade itself for 2 cards. Graceful will probably discard the 2 Thunder Dragons unless you spiked the Serpent. Yep, so they're just going to cash in those 2 Thunder Dragons, and now you've got a nice full new grip of 5 cards here for Thalos. So getting a little bit of value out of this Dust Shoot late into the game for Nash Mash, which is really great. Generally, Dust Shoot is kind of dead at this point in the game. But just the raw draw power of Turbo, sometimes you can just go back up over 4 cards, so it's never super dead in the matchup. Got the second Nobleman of Crossout just to out that Ninja Grandmaster, which is pretty good for Thalos because that was the one card really threatening your spy wall here. We're gonna get MST on the Unknown back row, which is Mirror Force, great card to hit, and now you know the coast is clear. If you got BLS, you can just go for the win right now. Yep. And normal summon to Koichi, and I think this is game. I'm not gonna do the math, but yeah, GG. So pretty close game there. Just Warrior, as always, struggling to deal with the Gravekeeper Spy, and that bought enough time for Thalos to do stuff like Recurring Faith with, or using Faith to recur Graceful Charity a bunch with a Sinister in hand to just draw into all the good stuff in the deck, and then finally close things out. So very well played there by Thalos, taking down game 1. Game 2, Nash Masher is going to go first, of course, and they're going to lead out with a Graceful Charity here. See what they choose to discard. Goes for discard DD Assailant and a Book of Moon. Book not super good into Turbo, so kind of interesting choice to keep that in here. And the DD Assailant going to hit the grave as well. Just going to go set a monster, set a couple pass. Thalos, did you side out your Nobleman of Crossouts? Ooh, we got Standby Phase Dust Shoot here. So we see a hand double Sakuretsu Armor, Jar of Greed, Spies on Byra's Sork. So the Sork nowhere near live, right? No lights in hand just yet. Zombyra is pretty good into Warrior, as is Spy, so you kind of have to think about what's easier for you to deal with here. The answer is it's probably easier to deal with the Spy because you have the Exiled Force, right? I mean, Exiled Force answers both of them. So maybe it doesn't really matter too much. Probably depends on what else you have around here. But yeah, I think stripping away the Zombyra or the Spy are both equally good here because you can just kind of Exile Force the other one that they have. Fix the Zombyra, totally fine. At least Zombyra can't go and attack your board right now. And then Thalos is going to go set a monster, set a couple pass. So you have to assume 1 Saku, 1 Jar, set, and then the monster has to be Spy. So Nash Mash, what did you set turn 1? Okay, we're just going to go straight out the rip, Exiled Force, pop the Spy, put summon Sangan. Okay, so applying a little bit of pressure there. Start getting in for 1,000 a turn. Not bad. Good way to play around Sakuretsu Armor. Trades favorably into that, of course, with the floating effect. I'm just going to pass there. Thalos here going to fire off that Jar of Greed, draw a little bit further into the deck. Redrew into a Zombyra. Not sure if they shuffled or not, but I'm not going to check the log. Zombyra will go and attack the Sangan. We got Ring on the Zombyra, so a good way to deal with it. And that's a lot of damage here as well if you're the Warrior player. Getting Thalos down to 4,900 already. The Sangan already representing a 5-turn clock. Thalos is just going to set a back row pass. Could be double Saku here, of course. Would be a little bit exposed to Heavy Storm. Nash Mash here. Going to go normal summon Blade Knight. Okay, then we got Torrential Tribute, which you don't... It's just going to kind of halt the pressure here. Basically just trading with the Blade Knight. Nash Mash will be able to get the Sangan to fire off here. We'll see what they grab with it. They will grab a Marauding Captain. So Nash Mash still playing this Marauding Captain-esque Warrior deck here. Probably not too bad in this scenario, depending on what you have in your hand. Thalos, though, just going to go draw pass. You know this set has to be Sakuretsu Armor if you're Nash Mash, which honestly Marauding Captain is kind of good into because you can go wider than Saku can deal with and start applying the pressure here. So we're just going to get normal summon Donzalug and run into the Saku. That's interesting. You knew it was Saku, right? So why wouldn't you go normal summon Marauding Captain effect summon the Donzalug, and then at least the Don will still get Saku'd, but you start applying pressure here. Seems like a misplay, but I guess we'll see. Thalos here though. Just going to go set a back row pass. Probably the second Sakuretsu Armor. So I guess you still have the same issue again here. Now you can go for the same Marauding Play Captain, go wide around the Saku. We're just going to normal summon the Kaiku, though. And run into Raigeki Break, discarding BLS. So getting a Light Engrave here. We know that Sork is in hand for Thalos, so nice play here to get a Light Engrave. BLS will be gone for the rest of the match, but being able to resolve a Sork and deal with this Kaiku is pretty good. And we know about the other Saku in hand still. That was just going to draw, set a couple pass. We're going to get this Tornado on one of them, and it hits the second Sakuretsu. So this last one is an unknown. Nash Mash going to go normal summon Breaker. Breaker effect going to pop. Oh, so it was the third Sakuretsu armor. Dang. Bringing in all of the stops here, but Breaker's going to go connect in for 1600. I'm going to pass, and that's a 3-turn clock, plus Marauding Captain in hand to make it a 2-turn clock if you want. But we know that Sork is going to get slammed down. Just going to go attack over the Breaker. Yeah, plenty of Darks Engraved, so don't really care about banishing it. Would rather get the damage in. And Nash Mash. We're going to go Slam BLS, and that's actually game there. So Warrior taking it down in the second game here. Not getting to use that Marauding Captain. I think they had a pretty cool opportunity to actually use it for some pretty good value, just to apply a lot of pressure. But didn't need it, just had the BLS for game there. And now we're going to go to game 3. Turbo's going to lead out with a T-set pass. No Trinity to start, so you're probably pretty happy with that if you're Nash Mash. We're going to go normal summon Mystic Swordsman level 2, which is a great card against Turbo. Going to go attack that set monster. And it is just a Sangan, though, so not getting the value here. Sangan's just going to be able to float, grab something. Going to grab Tsukuyomi, which is a great card in the matchup. Beats over tons of warrior monsters. So Nash Mash, you have a way to protect your Mystic Swordsman. Going to set a bunch of back row pass. Hopefully not into a pro set heavy here from Thales. We're going to get Trap Dust Shoot here, which is a good way to deal with the Tsukuyomi. See those hands. So we see Suk, Zombira, and Spy. So 2 of the best cards in the matchup again in the hand for Thales. But Nash Mash able to play through those last time. And that known Tsukuyomi. We also have Snatch, Seal, Sakuretsu, Solemn to deal with. So pretty good anti-warrior hand here for Thales. And notably, Nash Mash, we've got Blade Knight and then a Mystic Swordsman level 4. This card destroyed a monster by battle this turn. His effect doesn't destroy by battle, though, right? You don't see a lot of Mystic Swordsman level 4 play here in this format. Kind of a cool card to see. I guess it's a good combo with Marauding Captain. Right, because it can't be normal summoned, but it can't be special summoned off of Marauding Captain. So maybe that is what they're going for here. Maybe it's like a Mystic Swordsman sort of deck. Let's see what you spin back. I mean, you don't like it. Really depends on what your set cards here, but I can see spinning back any one of these monsters. They're all really good against you. They're gonna spin back the Tsukuyomi, which is totally fair. And now let's see how Thales plays this one out. Gonna go normal summon Zombira. Zombira attempt to beat over the Mystic Swordsman. And we're just gonna let that happen. So free plus here for Thales. A little bit unfortunate for Nash Mash not having anything to protect their monsters here. And now you just have this big 1900 wall in your way. So Thales, you're sitting pretty here on the back of Zombira. Nash Mash just draw pass. Yeah, you got nothing to deal with this wall just yet. Oh. Set a monster, set a bunch of back row pass, so that has to be the Spy set. Nash Mash, you have anything to deal with this? We got Premature Burial on the Mystic Swordsman, which is a good way to deal with the set Spy. Go beat over that Spy, effect will trigger, but we got the Sakuretsu armor. That was known to deal with that. So really tough to play around all these Sakus. Thales just kind of has all the answers at the moment. Gonna get set a monster, set a back row pass. Really good chance that that's that Mystic Swordsman level 4. Can't be normal summoned, but can be set and then flip summoned in a future turn. Thales, Jargri just to draw a little bit further into the deck. Zombira will go attack the most likely Mystic Swordsman. We got Book of Moon. Not great, right? Because now you reset the Zombira to 2100 attack by removing those, negative counters. It does keep your monster alive, but it's not really a favorable trade for you in the long run. Get main phase 2 normal summon Breaker. Breaker effect will go pop the back row, which was a Solemn Judgment, so really, really high value here out of this Breaker. Pass from Nash Mash. I guess the idea here is you can go flip summon your Mystic Swordsman and then kill the Breaker. So no need to Solemn it, perhaps. We got Marauding Captain. Effect will trigger to summon Kaiku. Cool. I always forget the Marauding Captain, it doesn't need to be a warrior that you summon. It's just one level 4 or lower monster. But going super wide here, Still have to deal with like Torrential and Mirror Force somewhere in the deck, so a little bit risky, but you're down a ton of cards here, and you got potential flip summons on Buyer, you got Spy to deal with, so I understand trying to just get in damage while you can. And the set monster was the Mystic Swordsman level 4. Now, are we playing Mystic Swordsman level 6? That would be cool. Yeah, Mystic Swordsman level 4, good way to deal with some buyers and things like that. Gonna go and attack that Spy. We got another Sakuretsu armor to deal with it, though, so kind of the keystone of the deck being dealt with relatively easy here, just Sakuretsu being a really good card against Warrior. Riding Captain will go attack over the Zombira at least, so dealing with that threat, and then Kaiku can get in over the Breaker. So still unable to deal with the Spy, but you're going to be able to banish some stuff and apply a little bit of pressure. And the card advantage is not too bad, favoring Thalos here, though. Spy is going to flip. Ooh, and we're just going to get aggro here. Attack mode Spy. Upstart to draw. What's the play? Do we have... we got Snatch Steal on the Kaiku. Yep, again, as always. Kaiku can beat over the Captain. Banish some stuff. And then Spy's going to start getting in for damage. And yeah, Thalos at this point, you've dealt with everything Nash Mash has thrown at you, and you're super comfortable just getting aggro here. Makes total sense. And Nash Mash is going to go normal summon Blade Knight. Heavy Storm is kind of bonkers here. We have a Solemn Judgment. We do have the Solemn to deal with that. But Blade Knight can still beat over this Kaiku, which could be big. We're going to choose to beat over the Spy because you can't beat over it later with the Blade Knight once it turns to defense, so that makes sense. Deal a little bit of damage. And now you've got this big 2k attack monster here sitting pretty. If Thalos can't answer it, that's a little bit more advantage coming your way in the future. It's going to set a back row Spy to defense, and this Kaiku might just be a sitting duck here for the oncoming Blade Knight. Nash Mash continuing to gain life off the Snatch Shield is also not something to scoff at as well, making it harder for Thalos to close out the game from this point. Blade Knight's going to go ahead and attack that Kaiku, though. And still, the theme of this match has been, can you get over Spy or not, right? Game 1, Nash Mash was just unable to, stalled out forever. Thalos just drew all the good stuff in their deck. Game 2, we had Exiled Force to deal with the Spy very early on, and then Nash Mash could just apply the pressure and go for game. Game 3 still up in the air, but the Spy is still on the field. Set back row here for Nash Mash. Thalos, can you deal with this Blade Knight? Do you even care? Because you're walling out this Spy. Got End-Phase MST on the new back row from Thalos. Hits another Solemn Judgment, so good value out of the MST there. Nash Mash going to set a monster pass here. Could be another Mystic Swordsman level 4, perhaps. Set a monster here for Thalos. Nash Mash is going to go attacking with the Blade Knight. It is Magician of Faith, which can go back and grab Snatch Steal, which is quite a good card. Not out of the woods here for Nash Mash. Duo here. Really good play. Attacking first, so that if it was Faith, they would have to grab a card, and then Duo is going to rip out both of them, so now you do not have to worry about Snatch Steal. But we have the third Solemn Judgment. Or, no, just the second Solemn Judgment, sorry. Oh, no, it is the third Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment number 3. To protect the hand, essentially protect the Snatch Steal. You go down to 1450, but you keep the good cards you have in your hand, so probably worth it from Thalos' perspective. Man, this has been a really close game. Snatch Steal is going to come down, steal that Breaker. Ooh, and we're going to slam down the Chaos Sorcerer, which this is a pretty explosive turn here for Thalos. Might just be game here or close to it. Breaker's going to go attack the set monster. It is Donzalug. And yeah, you're just going to get hit for 3,500 here. And now you are facing lethal with no cards really to speak of, just the one in hand. Heavy Storm is gone. What do you have? You have potential Snatch Steal. BLS would be dead. Show me Pot of Greed. Show me Graceful Charity. I'm just going to set a back row pass. Show me Mirror Force, perhaps? That'd be cool. Oh. I accidentally hit fast forward, but as you can see there, it looks like this back row, okay, it was just a Solemn Judgment, so couldn't really do anything. Thalos just going to go ahead, draw for turn, play around Mirror Force slightly by turning Spy to defense position, and then attack for lethal with the Stolen Blade Knight and the Chaos Sorcerer. So there it is. 2-1 here, Warrior versus Chaos Turbo, classic matchup, although this Warrior deck was Honestly, more of like a Mystic Swordsman sort of deck, I would say. Um, but really cool stuff here. And so I guess that's why the Swords of Revealing Light is in the deck, because it allows you to protect your Mystic Swordsman more to get its effect off. Um, able to take a game off there in game 2 when they were able to, like I said, the key of this matchup is how effectively Warriors able to deal with Spy. Games 1 and 3, it just stuck around and walled them out forever. Game 2, you had the Exiled Force to deal with it. Not really ever seeing any reinforcement of the armies at all. And Rhoda for Exiled is definitely a good way to deal with these set monsters. Um, Mystic Swordsman, of course, deals with Spy as well, but plays into Saku, which we saw a couple times. Saw a bunch to great effect so far this game. So tough matchup for Warrior here, but pretty well played by both players. Thalos is going to take it down in the end. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will catch you all next time.